9 in the morning. The main news from the TSN team right now, and a request for you. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a like, and hit the bell so you don't miss our episodes. A massive drone attack. At night, the Russians struck Kharkiv, Sumy, and Poltava regions. About 20 explosions were heard in Kharkiv. Several fires broke out. There is currently no information about casualties. In the Poltava region, fires broke out in administrative buildings after strikes on civilian infrastructure. A residential building and an outbuilding were damaged, according to rescuers. Several districts of Poltava lost power. After the Shahed drone attack, part of the city of Sumy was left without electricity. Windows were shattered in several apartment buildings. Tomahawks for Ukraine. Donald Trump stated that he has already made a decision regarding the supply of these long-range missiles at a White House briefing. The US president told journalists that the decision is almost ready. In order to make a final decision, he would like to know exactly how these missiles will be used. And as usual, he added that he does not seek escalation and that the war should never have started in the first place. Tomahawks are high-precision cruise missiles. Their range is 2,400 kilometers. The day before, the Russians attacked Chernihiv with drones. The strike hit civilian targets, according to the military administration. As a result of the shelling, residential buildings on the outskirts of the city were damaged. A fire broke out, which was extinguished by rescuers. In Chernihiv, hourly power outage schedules are in effect. 4 private houses were damaged as a result of Russian shelling in the Dnipropetrovsk region. The occupiers attacked the Nikopol district with artillery, Grad rocket launchers, and strike drones. In total, there were more than 30 attacks throughout the day. 1 person was killed and 20 were wounded in the Kherson region. The Russians struck Stepanivka with multiple rocket launch systems. They killed a woman. Her body was pulled from the rubble of a house hit by a shell. 3 children were also injured and are currently in the hospital. And 8 people were wounded in Chornobaivka. The Russians shelled this village with artillery. And in Kherson, they dropped explosives from drones. 6 civilians were injured. More than 100 residential buildings were damaged. Russian terrorists attacked a maternity hospital in Sumy. At the time of the strike, there were 11 newborns, 35 female patients, and 120 staff members inside. Everyone managed to get to the shelter in time. 1 staff member had an acute stress reaction. She was given assistance on the spot. An enemy drone hit the hospital roof. A fire broke out. The fire has now been extinguished and the roof is being urgently patched to protect the hospital from the rain. More than 100,000 foreign components were found in the drones and missiles that Russia launched during the latest combined attack on Ukraine. This was reported by Volodymyr Zelensky. Among the deadly hardware, components from companies in the United States, China, Taiwan, the United Kingdom, Germany, Switzerland, Japan, the Republic of Korea, and the Netherlands were found. The head of state noted that Ukraine has already submitted proposals to restrict supply chain schemes for these components. This issue will be discussed during the meeting of sanctions coordinators, which will take place this week. Ukraine is also preparing new sanctions against everyone who helps Russia wage war. In Estonia, the latest statements by former German Chancellor Angela Merkel regarding Russia's war against Ukraine have been criticized. Merkel was criticized for her claim that the Baltic states and Poland allegedly provoked Russia's imperial ambitions. The reason for the outrage in Tallinn was Angela Merkel's latest interview with a Hungarian publication. The former chancellor stated that Putin's decision to attack Ukraine was allegedly influenced by COVID-19, since there was little communication with the Kremlin leader because of it. The politician also hinted that the opposition from Poland and the Baltic countries prevented direct negotiations with the Russian leader. She claimed that at the end of her term, she wanted to create an EU alternative to the Minsk format. But some member states opposed it. This is a TSN broadcast. The most important news as of 9 a.m. You are watching TSN News. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave comments on the broadcast. And now I'll continue. Political crisis in France. The country's Prime Minister, Sébastien Lecornu, resigned after less than a month in office. The new cabinet was strongly disliked by the opposition, and they threatened to call a vote of no confidence. Political instability in France has been ongoing for almost 2 years now. In Parliament, deputies are unable to reach an agreement to quickly and effectively pass laws and approve the budget. As a result, no prime minister has been able to hold on to the position. In the past 2 years, there have already been 5 changes in the post. Several parties are demanding early elections and the resignation of the president. Nobel Week has been officially launched. The names of the laureates in physiology and medicine have been announced. The award was given for discoveries related to immunity. The recipients are Americans Merkel and Fred Ramsdell, as well as Japanese scientist Shimon Sakaguchi. They discovered exactly how our immune system works. And disruptions in this mechanism lead to autoimmune diseases. Diseases such as type 1 diabetes, multiple sclerosis, and rheumatoid arthritis. Today, the name of the Nobel Prize laureate in physics will be announced, and on Friday, the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize will be revealed. This year, there are 338 candidates for the prize, and US President Donald Trump is very eager to win this award. Pickling, fermenting, preserving. Ukrainian homemakers are in the midst of the winter canning season. The luckiest are those who have everything homemade, because that way you can save quite a bit, and the products are high quality and fresh. How can you store vegetables so that even after several months they remain as healthy as possible? More on this in the report.
Nadia Ptashka goes down into the cellar. Here there is a shelf completely filled with preserves. So how many jars, liters, or kilograms of preserves do you have here?
Oh dear, a lot. I've never counted them.
Spicy, salty, sweet and peppery. Anything you want. There's even marigold compote. And most importantly, everything is grown in our own garden. Is there anything you don't preserve? Well, as Nadia explains, when she has supplies, she feels more at ease. She also gives some of her preserves to relatives and friends. And she even sends some to her followers. Nadia is a bird lover, a blogger, and she shares every one of her recipes on social media.
These pickled plums were actually my very first recipe that I filmed and showed to my audience. That was the beginning. That's when my culinary life really started.
Today she wants to share one of her tried and true recipes with TSN.
Today we're making my favorite pickled green tomatoes.
Nadia places the sliced, homegrown tomatoes into jars with spices and herbs.
For 5 1-liter jars, we've used about 3 kilograms of green tomatoes.
For the marinade, she mixes water with vinegar, sugar, and salt. All of this needs to come to a boil.
If anyone is lucky enough to find Artem Sil, that's just perfect. I have some because I still have leftovers from pre-war times. This imported salt that we buy now just isn't salty.
Biochemist Ola Hurenko also confirms that there's a shortage of salt these days.
Because our deposits, specifically Artem Sil, are currently all occupied and not operating. And right now we have no other way to obtain high-quality rock salt.
She says there's a lot of iodized salt on the shelves now. And some homemakers mistakenly use it for canning.
Iodine will interfere with the fermentation of lactic acid bacteria. In other words, it will suppress the fermentation process, as a result of which vegetables or anything else you are canning will become slimy and may spoil.
The expert also advises paying attention to the coarseness of the grind.
It should be salt of medium or coarse grind, because when it comes to pickling, it's important not to oversalt, which is very easy to do with extra fine salt.
And now let's talk about the cost. Nadia reminds us that her tomatoes are homegrown, as are her garlic and herbs.
If I had bought all these ingredients at the market, including the jars and lids, it would have cost me about 200 hryvnias.
And what if you buy ready-made ones, for example?
Well, you know very well yourself what the prices are like in supermarkets. A single jar will cost at least 100 hryvnias or more, and here we've already canned 5.
Nadia Ptashka doesn't plan to stop here because she still has preserves to make from leftover tomatoes, pumpkins, grapes and peppers, which yielded abundantly this year.
Many recipes, many ideas. If there were 3 of me, I'd get everything done and sing I Don't Sing.
Olha Loskun, Henadi Shulha, TSN 1+1.
About 1,000 people have found themselves stranded on Everest. Due to a sudden blizzard, a group of travelers was caught by bad weather at an altitude of over 5,000 meters. Some of the climbers managed to descend to base camp, while others became trapped on the trails, which were buried in snow. Some Chinese media report that there are already fatalities among those stranded. However, there is no official confirmation yet. Contact has been established with 200 tourists. Another 350 have been evacuated to safer areas. Between rain and sunshine, A week of weather contrasts is beginning in Ukraine. This is the result of atmospheric fronts and cyclones. Rain is expected in most regions. In some places, the rain will be light, in others, heavy and prolonged. In some areas, there will be thunderstorms and frequent gusty winds. Heavy rainfall is once again expected in the Odessa region. However, meteorologists are not predicting any flooding. The warmest weather will be in the southeast, while the coolest will be in the western regions. In Kiev, temperatures are expected to be between 11 and 13 degrees Celsius. As for the return of warm days, Ukrainians shouldn't count on them just yet.
Unfortunately, that classic autumn warmth that many are hoping for when a high-pressure system brings dry weather and significantly higher temperatures is not expected for now. There are certain breaks between the passage of atmospheric fronts, but they are quite sporadic and short-lived in different regions of Ukraine. Still, for most of the time this week, this damp, humid air mass will prevail.
With that, I'll wrap up this episode. But there's still a lot of interesting things ahead. And to make sure you don't miss anything, subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell. Have a great day, everyone.